Welcome to the Myofascial Health Podcast, hosted by me, Unu. Follow along as I explore the depths of John Barnes' myofascial release approach on my road to mastery. Along the way, I'll be sharing the lessons I learn as I open my myofascial release practice in Austin, Texas, so that you don't have to make the same mistakes I do. Welcome back to the Myofascial Health Podcast. Now, I'm joined here by a very special guest. She's been a licensed massage therapist for 17 years. She's been a myofascial release therapist for 11 years. She started her own myofascial release business for 5 years. She's a wife, a mother, and a fur mommy. It's my pleasure to introduce Tracy Paglia. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Uno. It's a pleasure. Very exciting. And I met you a long time ago. I'm trying to rediscover what seminar, and I've taken so many, but you really intrigued me. You're just really a happy-go-lucky, chill kind of guy. You really knew how to break the ice in the room, and a lot of things that you would say sometimes people were thinking too. And I just thought, wow, he's really vulnerable and he's just so in his element and he's really easy to talk to. And I'm really glad that we're having this discussion because I never really had the opportunity to really introduce myself in seminar and say, hey, I'm Tracy, So thank you so much, and it's finally nice to meet you, in person, so to speak. So
yeah, the feeling is mutual. I think I've seen you, whether it be in Heather's coaching program that we're both a part of, or just around the MFR spaces. But I know that we've taken a lot of seminars, and we tend to go to the ones that John teaches. And there's just something about that when he teaches that makes it a little bit special. Not to say that when somebody else teaches, it's not special, but John has a way of making it his own, in a sense. On that note, can I just ask, how did you even get into myofascial release?
Well, so I'm really glad that you're asking me about this because, it's something that should be told. So way back in massage school, I saw John's photo on an old school bulletin board. And back then I was starting to get into Reiki, and my massage instructor had her hands dipped in everything. And I'm going to age myself a little bit here, but she was like the walking Britannica. She knew everything. She was interested in everything. And I could really relate to her because I just wanted to learn so much. And I just thought she was really cool. But anyway, not getting off subject, I saw John's photo on the bulletin board, and it told a little bit about, what he does. And I thought, wow, he really seems really interesting. And gosh, this older gentleman, he's so wise. He has so much wisdom. And, you never judge a book by its cover. But I thought, I better learn from this guy before he leaves this earth someday, and this was back in 2007. And I did not take my first John Barnes seminar until 5 years later. I just thought I'd put it off, and I'd gone to school, and I was just, interested in working as a massage therapist, and I worked for a very busy spa. And then it came later, and something came up. And I think back then, for some reason, his seminar was full. And I was like, I'm really bummed. I really want to take it. And I don't know why at that time that I needed to take it. It was in December of 2013. And I think I was on a waiting list. And I, went back on the computer and looked in. I thought, oh, there's space for me. Oh my gosh, I won the lottery. I'm going to be teaching with John Barnes, And I learned a little bit about him, and it was just so important. And I was so enthusiastic about it. And a lot of my, coworkers were like, why is she so excited? And what's the big deal? And so I said, I'll fill you all in when I come back. And I did. And I was using some of my techniques, and it was just amazing. It was just really surreal.
So, oh, that's such a cool story. Now,
yeah.
What's funny is you mentioned you saw this brochure or this picture of John, and you're like, you know what? I need to take it before he leaves this earth.
Right. And here's this guy in this nice whiting beard, and he just had this really spiritual essence to him, and he just really drew me in. And I was like, I need to learn from him. But just thinking that he's an older gentleman, and his age wasn't put out there or anything, and I just thought I better learn from him. And I remember saying to my boss or my manager, I said, I really need the time off. I really need to take this course, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to learn from him again. And I just want to take this course. If I learn just one course from John, I'll be okay with that. I can learn from all the other experts that that are underneath of him. The joke is later, I took every single course with him, all but equine, all but subtle energy. That's on my books. I am a Reiki 2 practitioner. Not to say that I didn't need it, but I just thought, when the time and the opportunity knocks, or when it comes up, that's when I'll take it. But I was just thrilled, and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to take another course. John's still here, and I'm going to take another course. And we chatted about it before, and we got some chuckles out, and he says, yeah, I'm still here. And I remember at the 7th year, I said, oh, it's 7 years. And, it was in December around the same anniversary day. And he says, so 7 years, he says, so we've been dating that long? So he just has a really great sense of humor. And, I'm just thrilled to be able to learn underneath of him. All the other instructors are amazing. They learned underneath of him. We all have this skill set, but there was just something about like, I have to learn from John. I have to have my first course. I need to learn from him.
Absolutely. And if anyone has that opportunity, it's highly recommended. I just laugh because I remember there was a period of time where someone had mentioned in passing, like, oh, I want to take MFR3 before John passes. And for some reason, I was not yet fully immersed in myofascial release.
Oh, I know you
But
weren't.
yeah, but I was like, you know what? That would be cool. And so I too took like 4 vacation series that year in 2019. And I had the opportunity to ask him a question, and this was in private. This wasn't when he was on stage. But I remember he was sitting with some of his instructors on the back table that he was at, and I asked him, when do you think you're gonna pass? And people looked at me like I
Really?
was shocked. And he said, you know what? Could be tomorrow. Nobody knows, but I'm still feeling pretty good. So hopefully that doesn't happen. He has a way of joking, and I think that allows the energy just to be more lighthearted. And then for me, it's like I would much rather take a myofascial release seminar where, he's joking around, but we're also learning things, and then it's very hands-on. I'll say that once I started taking myofascial release seminars to update my continuing education units for my physical therapy license, I have stopped taking other things because when I take other, let's say, classes or courses, they just feel stale to me. And for
Right?
me, yeah, and for me, it's
Yeah.
like, why not just keep learning this thing that when I take it, I just feel like a better person. I'm able to shed some of these layers. And then to get continuing education units on top of that, I'm like, it's a win-win scenario.
Oh, totally. I totally agree with you because it never gets stale. You're always learning something new. And like he trains us, you know, come into the seminar, even if you take plenty of courses, come in as a new learner, right? Drop your ego at the door. And you'll learn so much, quiet down and so forth. And it's funny listening to you say that because I can't rehearse what seminar we're in, it doesn't really matter. But I remember you standing up and asking him a question, and you just were not like on to this work. And then you were, but you were like, I'm not sure. And he challenged you. And I don't remember exactly what he challenged you on, but you answered the question really well. And you had all of us laughing. You just have that nature. And I think like, the things that you say, you're just on the run with it, and you're just being you, and asking those questions. And truly, if someone doesn't want to answer them, then they won't. But I think that's what kind of drew me to you. And I was laughing, and I have to find one of my old messages that I sent to you, and I said, you really intrigued me. I can really relate, because I really am that go lucky person, or I'm just curious and I just want to do so good in the world and I want to help everybody, right? And sometimes that's not possible, but we can help each other out in different ways, right? So, but I just saw how you can relate with him, and I felt the same way. And I think one of the things is that, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, that you saw a little bit of me and you, right, going
Mhm.
out. You're right. And if you want to kind of just segue into, I went to Harvest Day, right? And I had posted a couple of things, and that's when you contacted me. So we can expand on that if you
Yeah,
like.
so I'll just say that I know you said you haven't taken subtle energy yet, but something that we learned in subtle energy is you have an influence on everybody that you're around, and they have an influence on you. And so just like you kind of remarked how, oh man, just the fact that I stood up or asked questions or challenged John or he challenged me and we had a back and forth, that influence on you. And now we have this kind of connection as well. Now, yes, I had reached out to you because you had done kind of I guess, a business kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where, you did this harvest day and something
Well,
that we learned.
I actually didn't, but I ended up doing it.
Yes, yes. Okay, so the reason I wanted to reach out to you and ask you is because, something we learned in myofascial release is you never want to force or lead somebody. And when we talk about using your will, it can kind of blur that line. And so I wanted to ask you, what allowed you to will your way into this harvest little day festival thing? Can you explain what it is, first of all, and then what happened and how you moved forward with it?
Well, first off, do you know what harvest is? Harvest Day in the communities. So harvest is picking the crops and them being all ripe, and it kind of expands on that and the end of the summer season, right? So usually it's vendors or people, farmers and so forth that have their farmers produce or so forth. And but it just really expanded beyond the years. And I actually probably have to look up the true meaning of really what Harvest Day is, but it extended into like business owners and people that could provide for the community. And so in my community that I'm in each year around the fall, not always in the fall, they have Harvest Day. And Harvest Day could be, the name Harvest Day, or it could be, titled under different things, Historic Day or whatever that it is. So people will bring their harvest or they'll bring their crafts. It's usually like craftsmanship and so forth. And business owners sometimes support the community to do this. Either they put them up or they pay for something. But anyway, so it's all businesses coming together to support the community. And one of the things that I said was it really takes a village, right? For small businesses to survive. The community, small businesses build the community that we're in. So it's so essential and so important. So over the years, around those times, I was taking seminars, or I was just busy or traveling or so forth, and maybe I missed a date, and oh, you can register next year. So this year and last year, I both registered. And I registered 2 years ago on the later side, and they only have so many slots. And they said, try again next year. I said, okay, can I have, the registration? They say you want to be on it in the beginning of the year, which I did. And the summer had come and, I didn't get any answer. So I reached out, nothing again. I thought, okay, I guess I'm not going to be joining Harvest Day, but it's really a shame because they're missing out, because I have something that everybody needs. I would like to share my skills and my hands and help the community live a better life. And that's bringing myofascial release into it. And so for whatever reason, they told me that the slots were filled, or, I couldn't join. And I was really upset by that. I was sort of annoyed. And I was annoyed because I thought, well, it's kind of crappy. I'm a business owner and I pay into this community, and what's one more table? I mean, it's really just a street that's lined with tables and everyone is vending, and vending businesses or so forth. Now, I'm not a vendor and I'm not really selling anything, but they can surely feel my hands, and later, if they're interested, that I would invite them to my office and to come in and hopefully to be able to help them. So I just thought I was going to Harvest Day anyway, in my own mind, to be a person to purchase things and just browse the community and see what the community has to offer me. And something just kind of intrigued my mind. And I thought, I don't have to pay for a table. I don't have to be accepted. I can still join Harvest Day. I can go and browse and walk around. And I thought, you know what? While I'm doing that, I'm going to bring my business cards because there's so many people in this community that I know that I don't even have to sell anything. I could just offer them my card and tell them that I can help you, or I can help your brother, your mom, or your sister, or somebody that's in pain, or someone that's, not moving correctly, or they're not sleeping. And let's face it, COVID, post COVID brought along a lot of anxiety, and a lot of people are having trouble just doing the day-to-day things. And I know this work is so special that I had the opportunity to learn, and I just felt like I can help my community. So my office is close by, and I on the way to Harvest Day, I stopped at my office and I picked up my business cards, and I picked up my rack cards about myofascial release and a pen. And I just went around to the tables and introduced myself. And I said, "Hi, I'm Tracy. I'm a small business owner in this community, and I would like to help you. And would you mind taking my card and passing along to somebody that could use my services?" And they were very intrigued and they wanted to learn more. And as I was talking to people, this person over here is here and this person's coming in. They're like, "Oh, excuse me, I think you can help my mom." And I was, handing out all these cards. And I brought 60 of them with me, and I, came home with 4. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's 50 some people that I can help in this community. And I just, where there was will, there was a way. I wasn't, yes, I was a little annoyed and everything, but it wasn't like being bullying anybody. I just thought, well, what's the harm? I bring my business cards with me anyway. I just reprinted them, and I'm going to run into people that I know and probably people that I haven't seen in a long time. And, they're going to wonder what I've been up to and exchange stories. And hey, how can I help you? Here's my business card. I'm an MFR therapist. I can help you in every way possible. And I just told them a little bit about what I do and offer to help. And I think that's golden. I really do. So that's what I did.
I think that's super commendable. I think it's normal to feel rejected and like annoyed with hearing the no, especially when you're like, they have the space. But what I love hearing about what you shared is you didn't let that stop you from ultimately speaking about who you are and what you do and how you help people with myofascial release. I think
Right.
ultimately when you embody that, then yeah, there's an energy that comes around that. And if you say, hey, I've helped so and so with their knee pain, and someone's like, oh man, my mom has knee pain, maybe you could help her,
Oh,
then it
yeah.
spreads, right? So I just want to say that that's awesome that you, despite hearing the rejection, you still put yourself out there. Now, I wanted to ask, what for you is the difference between willing your way through something or forcing it?
How do I answer that question? I kind of did a little bit of both, to be honest with you, but it wasn't done in a spiteful way. It was just reaching out, and I'm a people person. I
Mhm.
love to be around people, and I love to communicate with them. And I just wanted to reach out to people and let them know, like, I'm here. And that's the way that what I did too. I'm a small business owner. I'm celebrating my 5 years of my small business, Rest from Stress. And oh, what's that? And I just, told them a little bit about it. And I reached so many people. And I thought, how many people, I can't see everybody here. There's hundreds of tables. And I only have 60 cards, but I don't need them. I have a mouth, and I connect with people. But I just, went up, and when they were afraid, and bullied my way in and shook their hand, offered a handshake, a welcome, and told them who I was. And I also said, too, if you wouldn't mind, could I have your card? Because I love to promote your business, too. It's so important. It's so important to collaborate and to help each other out. And what I say is true. It takes a village. It really does. And not just people that I can help, I even reached out and I met a veterinarian. I said, "Do you know that you can help your cats and dogs through myofascial release?" He says, "Get out." I said, "Nope, it's just not for humans. It's for animals too as well." And I told him a little bit about Mark Barnes and his company. And his wife had said, "Hey, you know what? Can I have your card? And how can I contact him?" And I provided the information. I said, "Here's his website." And they were just like really, really excited. And I said, "Hey, if you want me to come in one day and, place my hands on your dogs and cats," and when I say dogs and cats, it's because that's, their veterinarian practice is who they see. And also, too, the woman who was a veterinarian, her husband was actually an OT.
Oh,
and
wow.
we just connected. Yeah. So not only did I reach out of my realm, I reached out and extended those branches and letting them know that this is just not specific, that this can be used in so many ways and help so many humans and animals. And they were just like, wow. And I told them, I told the OT too. And John, I am your advertiser's dream. um, I I told him, I said, if you're interested, why don't you go take a course? He says, where do I do that? I said, well, they're all over the country, but most locally, I said, it's right in Wilmington. It's like 58 minutes. He says, get out. And I says, no, here's the information. He says, huh? I said, maybe I'll see you in the seminar one day. And I told him also too, like, not just being a licensed massage therapist. I said there's OTs, PTs, nurses, some chiros in the group too that are learning this work, and it's life-changing work. And I told him that, just briefly, like how it changed me, how it really changed my life, and what things it did for me and my body and for everyone that I reach and touch. And he was just like all about it. So I'm sure that we're going to see this guy in seminar.
I think
Yeah.
if there's something I can learn from you, it's that fortune favors the bold. I feel
Yes.
like you went out there and just from your own excitement with speaking about MFR or myofascial release, people will gravitate towards that. Versus if you're like in a job that you hate and you're just complaining about work all the time, people are going to be shut down by that or turned off by that.
Most definitely. And what was really cool? Like, had I been a vendor that day, I would never have been able to reach as many people as I did, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I had a couple of vending events and I was very successful with it. And it was wild because, three people had purchased later. It wasn't just about purchasing, it's really touching them and expanding and educating them about this life-changing work. And it wasn't until later, but it was really great. I helped three people and I still have emails, and you never know later on too, if they get that email and offer the help, they might come out later. It's just stepping outside of your comfort zone is exactly what I did. And I just was really in my element. I just felt so good doing it. And I wasn't even working, I didn't need to pay for a table. I didn't need to stand there to connect with people. I was really the mayor that day. It was hilarious. I was the mayor. I was the new mayor of my town. And, I went up to people that, who can I touch and how can I get this out to people in a shorter period of time. It wasn't a rush, but I just could not see a couple hundred people. So when people had breaks, I kind of slid in there, or I touched people that were working with their hands, woodworkers, crocheters. There was another therapist there that I met from a long time ago. That was really wild. And she branched off as doing something else, and we traded business cards. But I came home and I touched so many people in so many ways. And I also was there to support them. It wasn't just about me because we're in the same community. So I asked for their cards, and I think I came home with about 50 cards. So that's 50 new friends or 50 new people that I have touched, or they can expand in touch too. And there's always someone that needs help with their stiff neck, or not being able to sleep at night, or that has anxiety, or has trouble, getting up from their chair, or, is not able to make to family events because their pain is so great and they feel like they're burdening their family. It's all about bringing them back home, right? Bring them back home and to helping them live their lives as best as they can, right? So that's all I was trying to do, is just let people know that I've been here, and I'm here to help you. Let me know how I can help you in any way. And it wasn't about selling. I even invited them to come into my office. Come, call me. I might have space in my schedule, or lunch break we can move around, or, come feel my hands for 5 or 10 minutes, and let the magic work, and that's just the way I went about it. So,
That's amazing. I think what I hear and love about what you shared is that you were there not as someone who was like, oh, I need to get business, but you're just like,
right.
I'm part of this community. Let me help others as much as I can. Let me be supportive and ask, to trade business cards. It's not just you giving yours away, but you're like, hey, I'm here to learn more about yours. And I think that the energy that you bring with that is, yeah, you're there to help. And by doing so, I think if anyone has questions of doing this, it's like if you are there to serve, something will happen. It almost always happens. It might not happen right away, but if you're just there to kind of like help others, that will come back to you. Now, this thing that I wanted to kind of shed some light on is using your will. And I think because, especially as business owners, we're always going to run into challenges and obstacles. And there's a principle we learn in myofascial release is like you never want to force or
Right,
lead. And
right.
I think the line for me that kind of gets blurred is when you are forcing something, your energy around it is not very high versus there's like a deep knowing that you're supposed to be here or do the thing. And even though you might be told a no, that you somehow will your way to it, and then you recognize this feels in alignment with who I am and what I'm doing. You know, the person that comes to mind for me is Tamara Thomas. When she had set up Equine in Sedona recently, there was a storm and the horses didn't go in their stalls, and she had to makeshift and bring stalls. And for me, I just remember seeing and hearing that. I'm like, you know, it would have been very easy for me to be like, oh, this is a sign. This is not supposed to happen, you know? And I've gotten to a place in life now, it's like, you know, sure, there are things that might catch your eye, but not to look at things as like, oh, this is a sign that I'm not supposed to do it. You know, it's more so about, hey, how do I feel about it deeply? And then making sure that I put forth the effort to realize that. And I think when I hear your story, it's very much like that. You're like, I was gonna go anyway, so why not just do what I do, share who I am, teach people about myofascial release, and just see what comes of it. And then it seems like everything kind of worked out in your favor. Now, you have celebrated 5 years of business, doing your own myofascial release business. Can I ask, how did you decide to start your own business and how has that journey been?
Well, I think, even back in the massage days and when I became a massage therapist, they kind of, how do I put it? They try to set us up to where we can have our own businesses. That came later of how to form the business. And I thought that was really cool that, I even had the thought of doing this. And I was always in the spa world. And I remember my husband going back and saying, Trace, I think it would be really cool someday if you open up a spa. I said, I don't know if I want to open up a spa, but I think I would want to run my own business someday. And I do see myself as a leader. And I don't know if that comes with my sign or being a firstborn or my mom's right hand. But I knew somewhere along the way that I would want to be my own boss, right? I work well with others. I'm a team player, but I also work well independently. And I think at the point in time when I was working for Spa, I worked there for many years and I was treated very well. And I came a point in time that I was taking other courses in MFR and I really hit a plateau with massage therapy being where I was at that present time in a spa because I didn't feel that there was any growth for me and that I loved doing what I was doing. But for me to continue to grow, I would have to leave. And it took a while for me to do that and to leave because I had, again, in my community, like I'm one of 5 kids in my family. Like if they know me, they know all my siblings or vice versa. And I had excuse me, before I went to the spa world, I had, my own clients and I wasn't able to see them because I branched out into the spa world. So I had them follow me over to the spa world. So, I think at the time too, I was going back to school actually, I decided that I wanted to go become a physical therapist. And actually before the massage days, I always thought that I would like to become a physical therapist being that I had a couple injuries, and my first injury that I can remember was my jet skiing accident. And it put me into physical therapy. Now, back in the day, you can attest to this, it was the hot packs and TENS units and so forth. And I remember being a tech that had many hands, being that anything they threw out at me, I could do, and that I would be useful in that department. So I remember someone training me how to make back braces. It was literally like with a skillet, like a hot plate that you would put the piece of the fabric on. And when it was hot, you would just mold it to someone's back. And that was the back brace. And it slid into a Velcro brace. And so I injured myself, but the care that I got, I was an athlete too. So, when I went to physical therapy, they had a great big rehabilitation department too. So there was a crossover. And I just remember the care that I got and the passion about the work that they were doing and the compassion that they had for their patients. Now, I was already working in physical therapy at the time when this happened. I was young, I was right at 20. And, we're in our primes and we bounced back, and I was an athlete and I was working out and so forth. Go another 10 years, you start sliding back, or your body starts, breaking down a little bit. And if you have children too, that comes right afterwards. But anyway, not to get off track. I just, I could never do the math, right? I needed to do the math. I could not do that algebra for whatever that it was. And that was my hurdle. That was my roadblock. And I thought, this is going to be really tough for me. I need to learn this. And, I was taking some time off and taking my, my prerequisites and later hitting that. And I remember getting tutored and all this stuff. And then something just kind of clicked. And it was like, I don't need to do this. I have what I need. And this is MFR, and to trust the process. And once I felt like I was on this waiting list competing with 28 other PTs and pre-PTA program and everything, it was going to be a long journey. And I had gone back after 20 some years. And when I entered the pre-PTA program, I was struggling a little bit because I was doing everything. I was working my business. I was working for a spot. I was being mentored, and I was going to school. And my professor said to me, Tracy, he said, for you to retake over this anatomy class, like, how many hours do you have? You need a lot of hours outside the classroom. You need about 12 additional hours to survive in this class. How many do you have? And I said, 4. It says, I have no doubt in my mind that you would be great and you would pass this class, but you need the extra time to do this, and you need the extra time for these other things too, the math part. So I thought, okay, well, I'll put on the back burner. Maybe someday I'll go back to school. And then the more and more I took my courses, I just knew that, it was a journey that I had to take, and I didn't need this, and I thought, okay, watch out, here I come, and then I decided it wasn't where I needed to be patient into this work. I was breathing it and living it. And I re-injured myself. I entered a Rugged Maniac 5K run. That was something that was a goal of mine to do. And the first year I did it, second year I did it, the third year I did it, I slipped and fell. I fell from 8 feet, crashed down on my tailbone. And then here we go again, right? I had some setbacks and my body was breaking down. I'm thinking, my God, how am I going to do this? And I thought, well, I can do this. I know this work, and I just need to get treated. And, I bounced back, and it was just really the very thing that got me better sooner. And somewhere along the line too, I was having some tests done, and we found out that I had spinal stenosis. I knew that I had it in my back, but they found out later that I had it in my neck. And I told them, there's something wrong with my neck. There's something wrong with my neck. And they always want to examine the lower half of it. And we just knew intuitively, right? With our gut, there was something wrong. Well, with this story that I'm telling you is that the doctors didn't believe me, and I found someone that I could trust and that would believe me. And when we went back to have the tests done again, it showed less stenosis, and it was showing that I was getting better. And they thought they made a mistake. And I said, oh, there's no mistake. There's no mistake. And the physician that I had, she believed in the work that I did. She says, keep doing what you're doing. And she says, there was no mistake, And I said, okay, and here I go. And it was just the very thing, like, I needed to do this work, and I needed to delve deeper into it, because I knew wholeheartedly and I believed wholeheartedly in this work that it was helping me, it was getting me better, and it was really saving my life in every way. I was able to work healthier, and be there more for my clients and to be a better mom and a wife for my family. And, it was a journey that I needed to take and figure out on my own. But I just really knew from the very beginning, I believed in this work. I felt this work. I knew it. And it's just believe it and go with your instinct. And, we're a product of the product. We really are. And you know, that's how I teach it. And that's how I, believe in this. I just believe in it. It's just inbred in me now. And, I exclusively offer this. And I have a couple of years back, I just stopped massaging and my body was breaking down. We're not machines. And sometimes in spas, you put out so much and produce, and they always give more work to the people that can produce. And just everything had changed for me in a negative way. And I was really seeing, and I thought, I really love this work, but if this is the way that it's going to be, then it's not for me. And I had to make an executive decision to give up the thing that I love, but I also had something else that I love that I believed in, and that was working. And people all around me, I didn't even have to sell it. People just saw it in me, and the things that I was able to do again that I've always done, but I had some hurdles and setbacks, and they just saw this shift in me, and they said, like, what's going on? Like, how are you getting better? People even said to me, wow, you look younger than you did years ago. Not that you looked old, but it's like you went through the fountain of youth. What are you doing? I said, MFR. So the proof is really in the pudding. And this work is amazing work. It's life-changing work. It's our duty as therapists and MFR therapists to talk about this work more, get out there every way that we can, and just not explain it, just say, hey, come over, let me place my hands on you if I can, or come feel my hands and receive this work. And the work speaks for itself. So I just took the leap, and I just followed my instinct and just did it. And it wasn't really, having to tell myself a story. I was receiving it and I was living it. And, that's how I got into doing this work. I think we have to go through the storm to see the sunshine, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you for
yeah,
sharing that. I think some things come to mind. Something that John says is you can only take your patients and clients as far as you have gone. And
right.
so it's not an uncommon story for many of us myofascial therapists to have had aches, pains, surgeries, things like that, and being
Yeah,
told that, hey, everything is fine. We don't think this is important. And I would just say that if you are in the position where someone is trusting you with their own health, don't be dismissive of the things that they're feeling. And
right.
so I think the worst thing you could tell somebody is, oh, it's all in your head, or no, we don't see that. It's got to be something else. And as myofascial therapists, especially those of us who have gone through our own trials and tribulations, we can understand what that feels like. So this compassionate heart to listen to someone, to be there, to be centered and present with them, to hold space for them, that is something that I think sets the stage for them to eventually heal themselves. So thank you for sharing that. And something that you
Yeah,
said that was funny to me was, you said, back in the day when I was going through PT, we would do hot packs and cold packs and all that. I'm like,
same.
even today, we still do this stuff, and it like frustrates me so much that hey, we're doing things that have been the same for the past 40 years, and the research is out. Hot packs, cold packs, ultrasound, electrical stimulation. There's no long-term benefit for doing those things.
There
But
isn't. And I'm so glad that you're talking about that because you're speaking the truth. You're a PT, right? You've done it and seen it and everything. And I just really feel that there's things that are still offered. It's just a buffer, right? It's just a buffer to get you to the next, well, this is the waiting line. So here you are, have a hot pack and let me turn the stim machine on. And they're really not getting anywhere from it. They really need that one-on-one attention and being able to treat the patient or client and also give them the skills and the tools that they can help themselves with self-care when they're away from the office or away from the PT clinic or wherever they're at to get treated other than your office, right? And because we're very capable. of healing our bodies. We just need to be shown how
Yeah.
or taught, right? But yeah, truly, I even tell my clients that too. And that's actually, in my emails and it's in my literature that I give them, or even if I post on social media, that, we can only go as far as we're willing to take ourselves. And I stand by that. Those are John's words, and paraphrasing quote. My clients will attest to that. It's so true, and it's so important. If we're not treating ourselves, or it's not about taking the coursework, and it's fun to meet colleagues and learn new things, and there's always new things to learn, even though you've taken the course over 5 times, right? There's value in repeating. There's always something that you can pick up. It's like seeing that movie and you're chatting about it, and later you say, oh, really, so and so was in that movie? Oh, I didn't know that. And you're seeing it for a second time and you notice that. But there's just so much value. And as a therapist too, we're doing people injustice if we are not getting treated ourselves, feeling the work. Because when we're treated right, when we're being treated, we're experiencing that. And in that, we can take that and then produce that to our clients. Because each time that we're treated, it's a whole new experience. It's never the same. And that's why this work is so special, because it's different for everyone. There's no cookie cutter, right? It's authentic healing. And treating the people as a body being is huge rather than a certain entity. And that's the thing, everyone that comes in a clinic and they have a shoulder injury or a knee injury, they can't possibly have the same exercises. What tissue memory is trapped in there? Your tissue memory is so different from my tissue memory, right? But people don't know what that means unless we're, allowing them to experience myofascial release through our hands and educating them, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So let's say there was someone who maybe take myofascial release one,
right.
but they're involved in, let's say, cranial sacral therapy or Reiki or something. They're like, I'm on the fence. What would you tell that person?
Go try it. Feel it for yourself.
And are there any recommendations on how to find the right therapist to work with?
To find the right therapist? Well, if we're being trained in following John's skill set, every therapist is going to be different. Everyone's experience is going to be different. So it really doesn't matter who you get treated by, as long as they're following the protocol and they're receiving it, then there is no perfect therapist or, someone. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, but you know what I'm trying to say, right?
I do. I'll say that
Okay.
myofascial release therapist compared to a lot of the other stuff is by far much better and the results speak for themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
But I will say for me, I think you just resonate differently or closely with others than some people. And so I think it is important to find the right therapist that you resonate with.
I
And I was
got you.
just curious if you had any tips or recommendations for someone who's like, yeah, I'm been told to try this out, but I don't know who I'm looking for or anything like that. And I'll just say for me, oftentimes it's a conversation to have. If you see someone, for example, I'm working with a myofascial release therapist who I had the opportunity to get a sense of her touch in a seminar. Now, if you're just off the street, you're not going to be able to have that experience. But maybe something as simple as like a phone call and just saying, hey, what's their energy? How do I
I got
feel
you.
when I speak to them and things like that to help kind of like find that right person for you.
Right, right, exactly. And I was thinking along the lines of that too. It's just, certain people jive with certain people, right? You don't want someone that's going to be aggressive and in for themselves or like to make a buck, right?
Yeah.
You want to find someone that's going to listen to you, right? You're going to invite them into your office and know that you're open, you're approachable. Call me, let's have a discussion. And if you're not good at talking on the phone, I invite you to come into my office and ask me questions and see if I can answer them for you. And just really, you can intake them in certain ways. And what would you like to see happen? What are you looking for in a therapist? And what are some of the things that you would like to get out of this therapy. And then collectively, because we're not doing the work for them, when we work with a client or a patient, right, it's just not the therapist that's doing the work. It's a teamwork. We're doing
Mhm.
together, right? There's
Yeah.
an energetic level to this work too as well. And, you just have to feel comfortable, and you have to, people are very vulnerable too, and some of this work can be very vulnerable, and you just want to know, and on the therapist end too, can I work with this client? Are they going to show up? Are they going to give me a chance? And that's how I approach people too. Like, just be open about this work, give it a chance, and if it's not for you, then it's for somebody else,
Mhm.
and but I know that you're going to love it, and it's going to make you feel good, and it's relaxing, and when you leave here, you'll feel differently. And just leave it at that. I always offer my clients too the opportunity to call me. Call me if you have a question. I want to know how I can help you better, right?
Mhm.
No question is a stupid question. If you don't ask it, I can't help you. And, communicate with me. Let me know if there's any new changes in your bodies, and or if there's any new medication, or if there's something specific, like, we're not doctors, but I have helped people decrease their medication. And I've had helped people, I wouldn't say like dodge surgery, but this is an alternative that, they were really scared about the surgery. And I invite them to come in to try this first, because 9 out of 10 times, most likely they don't need it. Now, if they need surgery, that's great. This is a great modality too, also to prep you for the surgery pre and post op. It's going to help you before and after surgery. You'll heal better. You'll have a better healing experience through MFR if you receive it before surgery and after surgery. And sometimes too, like if people can't make it in, or, I always tell them, like, if there's something that you don't like about me, well, Jai, please give this work a chance. Try somebody else, because there's going to be somebody that you connect with if it's not me. And I
Mhm.
just leave that door open, So
I love that. I will say that for me, I dodge surgery. I'm like firm in that. Like unless you've fallen out of a building or gotten into a car wreck, I think surgery is way overdone. And
it
with
is
my
well overdone. It really, really is.
And with myofascial release, I have helped many of patients and clients avoid surgeries, even when they were told, like, hey, you need to get this or it's scheduled, and they were able to cancel it. So just know that the value of this work is beyond what we can mention in words. And as long as you have that compassionate heart and you're feeling drawn to it and you're doing it for the right reasons, you have the ability to do with what Tracy and I did, which is start our own MFR practices and just help and be part of this community. So I just want to say thank you so much for being open and honest with us. How can people find you?
People can find me on my website. It's restfromstressfr.com. I am on social media, not enough, but I'm working to get on there more. And my Instagram is Rest from Stress MFR. And then I also have my business Facebook. That's also, you can just write in my name, Tracy Paglia, LMT, myofascial release therapist. But basically, the Instagram would be best, and definitely my website. There's everything there that you need. Really, all that you do need is a book now button, because hitting that button, it gives me an opportunity to change your life, to help you get back to doing the things that you love to do again.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was so awesome. I just felt so chill with you, and we could just be ourselves and giggle, and not feel real stiff and stale. And, this was a great opportunity. I really appreciate that. And I hope to see you in seminar. I'm not sure if I'm going in December to Wilmington or not. I have a really book schedule, and I only have a few spaces left, and that is during the weeks that seminar is happening. But I know at some point that I will run into you in another seminar. And
Absolutely.
And I have all of your social media and your booking link too as well. And if someone is in your community and neighborhood, I surely will send them there. Oh, and also too, yes, I am on the MFR directory too as well. So you can go to mfrhealth.com or findatherapist.com, mfrtherapist.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tracy.
You're so welcome. Thank you again.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Myofascial Health. I help myofascial release therapists create beautiful websites for their MFR practices, even if they aren't tech savvy. If you're just starting your MFR practice, or you're an experienced MFR practice owner, learn more about how I can help at www.myofascial.health/website.